morning, everybody. My name's Kat Weiser. I represent the Federal Highway Administration. I work for the Resource Center. Specifically, in this case, I work with the alternative contracting methods of design build, progressive design build. I also do a lot of contract administration for federal aid projects. I do all the construction inspection, and I'm also the lead for e-construction. So if you think you've seen me before, you probably have. Advance the slide, please. So today I'm here to talk about progressive design build. We're going to talk about what Federal Highway feels that progressive design build is, how progressive design build works. We'll talk about some key considerations, talk about the benefits of progressive design build, and then we'll have the most asked question of Federal Highway with regards to progressive design build, and you guys can ask some questions in the chat pod as well. Next slide. One application of progressive design build delivery is using a stepped or progressive process, commonly referred to as progressive design build. Progressive design build uses a qualifications-based or best value selection, followed by a process where the owner progresses the design towards a final contract price with the team, thus the term progressive. Industry generally considers progressive design build a hybrid delivery method that combines the early contractor involvement benefits of CMGC with the all-inclusive responsibilities of design build. Essentially, progressive design build mirrors CMGC with one notable exception. Under CMGC, the owner has a direct contract with the designer or the engineer of record, enabling them to be a true owner's rep with no potential conflicts of interest, and it takes the design to 100% for construction. Then the owner has a separate contract with the contractor for design services and construction. With progressive design build, the owner has one contract with the design build team for the entire project completion. The owner is better able to influence the design, and the design build team is able to provide constructability and cost feedback on those requests as the design develops. This allows the owner and design build team to openly discuss and decide the project's results before the design and schedule is finalized and a final cost is negotiated. Next slide. So what is progressive design build? The idea here is that the agency starts with a well-defined project goal, and let's say it's a bridge replacement or capacity improvements. Project scope, schedule, and budget are known as best as they can define them. The risks for items like environment, utility, right-of-way, design, and construction are also defined as part of this upfront solicitation. However, the specific design elements, the means and methods, are still up in the air and will be determined and defined by the selected design build team. The owner and the design build team have an open, iterative process throughout the design development to refine the design, the schedule, and the costs of the project. The goal is to get to a final guaranteed maximum price and a schedule as soon as practical in the process. Next slide. Here we have a different graphical representation of how progressive design build works. The owner initially develops a basic design definition and defines the project goals, allowing them to have an initial construction estimate for use when establishing and evaluating the design build team proposals. The owner selects from qualified firms based on the qualifications to begin phase 1 of the final design. Proposers will include rates or conceptual target prices in the phase 1 evaluation, and selection like pre-construction services, overhead, project profit, and management fees. As the design progresses, the design build team continues to update the project's price, scope, and schedule in a collaborative environment with the owner. This allows both sides to reduce risks and contingencies through the process. At about 40 to 60% of design, the design build team and the owner negotiate and hopefully agree upon a guaranteed maximum price for the project's phase 2. The owner and design build team may also negotiate early work packages for elements of the design that have been completed as they continue towards the guaranteed maximum price. At any time, the owner may use a third party familiar with contractor level pricing to provide an independent cost review and may invoke the off-ramp option of the completed design by going out to public bid of the remaining construction phases. Once they have a guaranteed maximum price, a contract for phase 2 is entered into, and the final design and construction are completed based on the agreed upon terms and conditions. Next slide, please. This is an example of progressive design build in its simplest form. A guaranteed maximum price is agreed upon fairly early in the design phase, and construction is able to begin immediately with the entire project. This very closely mirrors a normal design build project. Next slide. In this example of progressive design build, a guaranteed maximum price is not agreed upon during the design phase, and the design is actually completed. At this point, the design build team and the owner may agree to a final guaranteed maximum price, or the completed design is put out for open bidding. The design build team may bid in the open market at any price of their choosing if the original contract for phase 1 allows. Their bid could be higher, the same, or lower than the price from previous progressive design build negotiations. The owner must prepare to deal with the results of open bidding. They may get a new contractor for the construction portion at a lower price, or they may end up with the same progressive design build team at a higher price. This mirrors a normal design bid build project in how the design and construction services are progressing. Next slide, please. And finally, the last example of progressive design build and the true intent is a guaranteed maximum price is agreed upon fairly late in the design and construction of the project. However, as you see, we had several or multiple early work packages to progress to that final guaranteed maximum price. The owner and progressive design build team are able to confirm the design and costs of the selected work packages over time. The guaranteed maximum price progresses towards the targeted budget while the contract scope, schedule, and budget are refined and finalized. Due to budget versus guaranteed maximum price considerations, the owner may elect to withdraw the design and/or construction of certain work packages and reserve those for future contracts while still meeting the requirements of the NEPA document. Examples of these reserved work packages could include items such as lighting or landscaping or other ancillary items. Next slide, please. So some key considerations for you as you consider progressive design build. The first one, does your state allow progressive design build? So at the federal level, we consider it part of our existing statutes and regulations. However, there are a lot of intricacies in state and local laws. And we need to know if your state requires price as a factor when selecting a contractor. Remember, in progressive design build, you have only agreed to a price for phase 1, not phase 2, the guaranteed maximum price of the contract. Also, qualifications-based contracting involves no price as a factor. So if you choose to just use qualifications, that could also significantly be affected by your current legislation. Best value is a more traditional method where it uses price and qualifications. But remember, for progressive design build, that price is only for phase 1. It does not include the total cost of the construction of the project. Costs that are in phase 1 typically include pre-construction services, raw labor and hour sheet rates, design build fees, markups, percentages, allowable costs, and a fixed fee for the general construction conditions. Regardless, the agency needs to clearly define evaluation criteria and provide a fair, clear, and transparent process for procurement. The criteria need to be fairly well established, including design build experience and capabilities, key personnel, organization, management, safety, your project approach, and then always the fee and rate proposal as well. The agency needs to ensure that the bonding community is on board as well. Requirements for sureties under progressive design build will need to be established and priced out to contractors competitively. Again, we do not have a guaranteed maximum price for these bonding requirements to be set. And lastly, politics. Guaranteed maximum price is officially unknown at award and may not be known for a year or two or more into the construction project. And all or part of the project may be delayed if the off-ramp option is exercised. So work packages, or if some work packages are deferred. Be aware and make sure your political appointees are well aware of this going into the process. Next slide, please. So some of the benefits of progressive design build are listed on the screen here. There are quite a few. Procurement is the biggest one as far as having a reduced amount of procurement. You have one contract with the progressive design build team for design and construction services. This lessens the number. Go back. You just went 2 slides too far.
Sorry.
There you go. Stay there. This lessens the number and cost of procurement actions and reduces the overall project delivery time. It may also provide legal advantages to the owner due to the progressive design build team's collective responsibility for the project's completion. Unlike regular design build, due to the open and iterative process of progressive design build, the owner is better able to influence cost, schedule, and budget of these projects. This transparent partnering process should lead to better design definition and fewer design review cycles. The ability to release early work packages allows for earlier construction start, often on critical infrastructure needs that positively influence subsequent stages of work timing, design, and cost. Examples include earthworks, foundational work, and environmental commitment completion. Unlike your typical design build project, and much like CMGC, we do also have the off-ramp option to provide the agencies with options to maintain their scope, schedule, and budget. Next slide. So just a slight plug here, the Design Build Institute of America has a primer that they have put out specifically on progressive design build. It's shown here on the screen to the right. It does go into some more in-depth, type of detail on how to deliver progressive design build projects, but I'd like to highlight 5 key items. The first one is the selection of the most qualified team. That is critical for you guys when you guys are going out there to make sure that you have a contract with your design builder going in that knows what they're doing and knows what they're getting into. This is not the place to try it the first time. Letting the design builder use their ingenuity and experience to develop the design. This is that continuing problem we have where state DOTs want to continue to control every aspect of the design. With progressive design build, as with regular design build, you have defined your goals, but you do not define the means and methods as an agency. That is up to the design build team, or in this case, the progressive design build team. And that is vital for making it a successful and timely project. Number 3 is weighing price significantly less important than non-price factors. As I mentioned, you do not have the price for phase 2 when you select the progressive design build team. You only have factors for phase 1 and some potential items of importance for phase 2, not the guaranteed maximum price. So those non-price factors are critical when selecting your team. Item number 4 is seeking best value solutions. This is part of your design, looking for durability, sustainability, and ease of maintenance, as well as getting your project to completion in a timely and cost-efficient manner. Lastly, number 5 is trust and flexibility. I mentioned partnering earlier. This gets into that. Integrity and honesty in your communications and mutual respect for the appreciation for perspectives and ideas. This is critical. If your design build team or your agency team are not trustworthy, they're not open and honest in the communications, this project will fail. Next slide, please. Lastly, I'd like to hit on a key feature if you guys choose to do these projects with federal aid funds. Specifically, this involves the NEPA process and money. So currently, the way the law is written, use of progressive design build in federal aid highway projects depends on the status of the NEPA process relative to the procurement process. If NEPA is completed before procurement, 23 CFR 636-302A1 requires the evaluation of price, and that is the full price, the guaranteed maximum price, in the selection of the successful firm. So the use of progressive design build in a federal aid project would require SEP 14 approval, since the selection of a progressive design build firm is based on qualifications and experience, and only the price for phase 1, not the entire construction project. If NEPA is not completed before procurement, 302A1 allows for selection where price is not one of the criteria in the selection of the best value firm, and SEP 14 is not required. This is similar to other projects that you're going to hear about here later. So if you choose to use federal aid funds, please keep that in mind, that SEP 14 approval of your project may be required if NEPA is complete. Next slide. Below are my contact information and also the contact information of Jerry Yakowinko. He is our headquarters representative for contract administration, and he would also be the group that would receive and evaluate the SEP 14 should you need to submit it. And with that, we're done.
Awesome. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
I did get one question in the chat pod. Question is, how would you work in a project that does not have all of the right-of-way prior to advertisement?
The right-of-way could potentially be part of the progressive design build contractor's scope of work if your state allows that. Or you would have to do a conditional right-of-way agreement as you would in standard typical projects.
Very good. Thank you, Kat. I did get another question about the presentations. The presentations, for those that I have received so far, those have been posted on the webinar site on resources. You should be able to download those.
And we'll get it out to Jeff, to everybody. So.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Naf.
I have a question. I don't know if Joe can go back to the slide of where the phase 1, phase 2 was. Probably should have been paying attention, but did not.
Oh, that's
the one.
Yeah, it's like, so does the designer, so who does the designer work for?
They work for the progressive design build team. That's the part that retains that single point of contact. So the design build team is a designer and a contractor or constructor. That is one contract with the owner.
So how does that differ? So, but the department, so how does that differ from the design build in the sense that the progressive design builder, or initially, is there a design advanced by the department based on what the progressive design build firm is suggesting or thinking?
So similar to or almost identical to regular design build, the state or owner agency has to come up with a basic design definition. They may just have parameters. They may take a design to 10 or 15 or, God forbid, 20%, and then they put that out in the street for a design build team to pick up and contract for. How far states take it is a point of contention sometimes. We hope that they do it earlier rather than later, because as the agency progresses that design, they're taking the flexibility and the ingenuity away from the progressive design build team. So while the state has to come up with basic design definitions, basic scope, schedule, and budget, we don't want them to take it too far, because that takes just as it does in design build or CMGC, it's no different from progressive design build. You need to get that team on board sooner rather than later and allow them to carry the design the rest of the way.
And so the you talked about the guaranteed maximum price that gets continued, and you may not have that. Did I hear correctly that you could have the construction could begin and not have a guaranteed maximum price, or wow?
So if you go to go 3 slides up, Joe, where it has the steps. One more. There. Stop. Oop, back. So this is what the true progressive design build in its purest form would look like. So you may be having a design build team that is progressing the design of the project, and they may complete certain portions of that design that allows them to agree with the design build team, the progressive design build team, on the design and construction scope, schedule, and cost of certain packages, especially earthwork, foundations, maybe structural steel procurement, and they let those pieces out as individual work packages with guaranteed time, scope, and schedule and cost for those individual pieces. And then they progress different sections of the design. As they complete the design, they get closer and closer to a completed design and to a guaranteed maximum price. And one of the advantages of doing it this way, they can get construction started sooner. They can take care of some of those long lead time items. And also this gives some flexibility in the ultimate deliverable. So let's say they reach that final guaranteed maximum price, but they still have some design elements left. Let's say, and it has to be incidental stuff that isn't required by NEPA. So it might be landscaping, it might be some lighting, it might be some minor upgrades or something to an off-system area that they can do later. It allows them to alter that final contract and still meet their guaranteed maximum price. And it allows them to potentially do those other ancillary items under another contract another time, or get more funding into their project and ultimately increase their guaranteed maximum price. So this is the purest form of progressive design build, is what you see on the screen here. Those individual work packages that work towards a completed design and work towards that guaranteed maximum price.
So in that case, the CAT, that as you progress further along the individual work packages, it would theoretically get very difficult to do an off-ramp, right? If you
Correct.
So yeah, so once you get down and you're moving dirt, and now you get a GMP that the owner's not comfortable with it, there's probably no going back, because dirt's moved and creates a lot of other issues, so to speak.
And those are part of the considerations when you issue those stepped packages. Is, are they finite elements or are they dependent elements? And those are things that as an agency you need to consider before you release those work packages.
Thank you.